What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into all of Deep Purple's live albums. Today I'm going to rant and rave and then rank among the other ones I've already done. MK Mark III, The Final Concerts, came out in 96, recorded in 1975, April. It is from a couple shows in Graz in April 3rd and 4th, handful of tracks, and then a handful of tracks from Paris, April 7th. The final show, Ritchie Blackmore would play with his lineup. Of course, he would come back in the 80s, but this was his last show. A couple things I've read about this show. I think I've read reviews about this just to see what other people think, because I think it's absolutely fantastic and arguably one of the greatest things ever. I've read that people say they can hear that Ritchie Blackmore is disinterested during this performance. And yes, during Space Trucking, when essentially he leaves the stage and Hughes is leading the jam for a good 10 minutes or so, only to come back, I think, at the very, very end when they reprise it. He leaves the stage at times. But when he's on the stage, when he's playing, Blackmore is killing it. If there is a complaint about this release, Lord is pretty low in the mix. His solos, he's not that high in the mix. You can hear him, but he needs to be louder. John Lord needs to be louder. It's just a fact. But in the absence of Lord, we hear every single thing Blackmore does. His solos are crystal clear. His support during the verses and the choruses or when Lord is soloing is fantastic. His rhythm work is fantastic. Every little nuance and lick and eyebrow and flavor and everything Blackmore does just sounds amazing. His last solo ever with the Mark III lineup, before he would be off into Rainbow territory, is the Highway Star that concludes the show. They do a going down, kind of bring that down, then build back up on a Highway Star. Probably should be two separate tracks. I don't know why it's one. His solo in Highway Star is absolutely the best Highway Star solo I think I've ever heard. Absolutely phenomenal. It's a beast. It's a monster. It's epic. Ritchie knows he's not going out. He knows he's going off to Rainbow. He knows he's not going to be in Deep Purple anymore. This solo sounds like a man who's leaving it all out on the stage. And in a Ritchie Blackmore way, which is you're all going to miss me when I'm gone, and you're going to be sad I'm not in this band, and look what I can do, but I'm also going to have a good time. And mad props in this entire show, in the bonus tracks from Graz, in the Paris stuff. The Hughes Pace rhythm section is keeping up and pushing Blackmore the entire time. Hughes is relatively not funky compared to what he would be when Bolin would join the band. Sorry for mispronouncing that. When Tommy would join the band. Here he's not as funky, but man, he's pushing it. He's every once in a while leading into a little bit of a funk riff. He interplays. His interplay with Blackmore is fantastic. They feed off each other well. Whatever the behind the scenes, the backstage, the band issues were, they're coming out great. They're being turned into some of the greatest music ever. Absolutely epic Highway Star to close this thing out. But pretty much, I would say the entire thing is epic. 2 discs. It's the set list, though we're getting bits and pieces from the Austria show, from the French show, so it's not in order. But we get essentially what is this set list from this tour. Opens up with a fantastic burn. Blackmore's dialed in from the beginning. It just seems like he's got extra riffs all over the place, little licks, he's dropping little chords. He's I'm going to force myself in here for a little 5 extra 10 seconds of me. It is this band's last show. You can tell they know these songs. You can tell whatever their personal problems are, they're locked in as a band. They're feeding off each other. If there are mistakes, they cover them up well. There's playful energy. There's loose energy. Absolutely fantastic. The Burn opener, standard opener for this band. Knock it out of the park. Stormbringer, awesome, nice and heavy. Great groove. Blackmore solo, he is just squealing and squirming and doing all kinds of weird twisty metal things. Great organ solo. And this is where you first start to really hear Blackmore's support and just all the incredibly interesting thing he's doing while other people are taking the spotlight. He's still back there doing some awesome stuff. That middle Stormbringer jam, Glenn Hughes is starting to funkify it a little bit. Like, we're definitely not getting as we would, in the next era, but we're starting to get a little bit of that funk energy coming in there. Absolutely fantastic Stormbringer for what is pretty much a straightforward, like 5-minute hard rock song. Then we get a Gypsy, which has one of my favorite riffs ever. That opening riff is just, masterful. Another kind of funky groove for a solo. That Hughes flavor, man, we're really starting to seep in. I have a feeling Blackmore didn't approve, but it makes for some absolutely, absolutely amazing guitar playing. Really nice patient solo for RB here. It's like he's taking his time. He's allowed to take his time. Not too long, but it's really short, really tasty. Then he heads back into that riff. It's a really fluid sound. The bass playing, epic, epic, epic. Then we get Lady Double Dealer, which is just high energy. The energy from Lord is great. The energy from Richie is great. Just a great song. Like, it coming between Gypsy and Mistreated is sort of a perfect, like, we have these two kind of more slow burn-in, like, just riffs that just kind of get under your skin and just kind of like get you. And that Lady Double Dealer in the middle, perfect placement, set list. Mistreated, absolutely epic Mistreated. This is one of those in which the sound is perfect. It's about a 12.5-minute Mistreated. Every little vocal nuance is perfect. Every riff is perfect. Richie in the beginning kind of playing around before we kind of go into the song about a minute and a half into it. That first sort of drum drop is just like, yeah, this band is locked in. Richie just sounds mean and nasty, and he sounds like he's mistreated and he's angry about it. Coverdale, of course, soars in this. The middle solo by Richie Blackmore is just fantastic. Hughes' playing is fantastic. The finale is epic. Like, this band is locked in. This band knows they're not going to play together again, and they want to leave something out there. Like, anytime you see a release where you're just like, it's the final concerts from this band, like, they're always going to release that. There's a market for that, right? Oh, the final show they ever did, is it any good? Yeah, this one's really good. Like, yeah, this had to be released. It's absolutely amazing. Like, don't think that they're trying to lure you into a product that you're only getting for sentimental reasons. No, get it because they're absolutely killing it. Smoke on the Water's fun. At this point, the fact that Ian's not on vocals, I don't care about. I don't care that they're doing Smoke on the Water. It starts off with a full-on, like, Richie playing around, goes on in a full-on lazy jam. We get a full-on lazy tease, and we get a quick little jam of that. Then we drop back into, like, a little, fool around. Then we drop that riff, and Richie's mangling that riff in the beginning. It's just like, dun, 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 dun. I mean, just, like, it's Smoke on the Water, but he's not, like, scared of messing with it. He eventually goes into the riff proper. And it's just a fun, high energy. They extend it at the end. We get what legitimately sounds like a Joe Cocker with a little help from my friends jam at one point, where he did this big swell and the organ comes in, and it just feels like we're going to go there. We don't, but it's during the part at the end when Hughes is like going off and making stuff up vocally. It's fun. It's loose. It's jammy. I would have been happy with just like a 5-6 minute Smoke on the Water, because the intensity of this is really good. And when they start to jam it at the end, I'm like, okay, we don't need this. They've kind of really nailed it. But then they just keep on playing, and it sounds like they're having a good time. And I don't know. It just works for me. Then we get a You Fool No One, Into the Mule. This one has a drum solo. Really high energy, You Fool No One. Lord gets to like solo at first. We finally get like the band comes in about a minute and a half in. And then we're messing around with the You Know One energy, really high pace. About 2.5 minutes, we get the song proper. Richie gets a little bit of a solo, and he's absolutely shredding. Then we go into the drum solo. We come back with an absolutely like pedal to the metal, full on high energy, brief snippet of the mule that's just exhilarating. There's nothing wrong with this disc at all, other than the fact that Lord needs to be higher in the mix. But I'm going to say this again. In losing Lord, you get more Blackmore. And if it's got to happen once, let's let it happen tonight, because Blackmore is on fire. Disc 2 opens up with a 20-minute Space Truckin', which I'm all in on. Lord opens it up, gets a lot of like playing, gets to experiment. We get the 2001 tease, that little thing. Then we go back into like another little jam. About 4.5 minutes, we get the full drop. About 5 minutes, like this entire thing, this entire intro, Blackmore's not there. So they're jamming out. They're doing different things. They're doing the 2001 tease. You don't hear any guitar. Finally, at the 5 minute mark, right before they get into the song proper, Blackmore shows up. Really high energy space trucking. Blackmore is just absolutely going crazy in this. When they get to that little cool down jam, and that's essentially what they do. They play like a little, snippet of space trucking. Then they kind of go into the cool down jam, and they just jam that out for the rest of the thing. They don't like play the song proper, then go to the jam. They like jam in the middle and then just jam it out for a super long time, long enough where Richie leaves the stage for a while, and then he does come back. But in this jam, when Richie's still around, Richie's being super playful. He does a little back and forth with, I think it's with Lord, and then might be with Hughes also. Kind of sounds like Strange Kind of Woman, like he's doing that little trill tease, and then Ian would sing those things. We kind of get a little bit of that action. We go into the Child in Time tease, pretty much a full-on 30 seconds of Child in Time, which drives the crowd crazy. Then we go into a full-on Glenn Hughes-led bass funk jam. We get a Gypsy Eyes, a Hendrix quote in there. I think there's another quote in there that Hughes sings, but it's not a song I'm familiar with. It just sounds like a traditional blues song, but it's different than the Hendrix one. We get a great Lord synth solo. Lord sounds really good here. Towards the end, in this synth solo, he's actually up in the mix enough where you can actually hear him and really, really enjoy him. And he goes off, he gets super noisy, gets chaotic, verges on chaos. Seems like by the time we get to like the end of this, like we're barely hanging on as a song. Like it really feels like we could have wrapped this up. And how long is this? This whole thing's like 19, 20 minutes long. We could have wrapped it up around 13 or 14 minutes, maybe 15. But nobody wants to leave the stage because they know this is the last show. And there is this sort of, let's just keep going vibe at the end. And then they finally wrap it up in just really high energy fashion. Indulgent, yes. Meandering, yes. A lot of Hughes, probably more Hughes than most people want. But it's so fantastic. Maybe the weak point of the show so far, just because Blackmore's absent for a good part of it. But it's still a really good space trucking. But then I wrote way more freeform and indulgent than needs to be. But yeah, it's still really good. But then we get going down the Alabama State Troopers cover, really fast, really high energy. That kind of slows down to a chill like Richie Blackmore leg vibe. We have that chill sort of Blackmore playing around. We go into the song. It's absolutely just nasty. I think Blackmore's on slide for this and alternating between slide and like finger licks, and it just gets really crazy towards the end of this. They bring it down. They go into Highway Star, and Blackmore's solo during Highway Star is one of the most ridiculous things ever. It is just, it's chaotic, but it's driving. He's all over the place. It feels like it's his last solo. It feels like he doesn't have anything to prove, but he's going to prove it to you one last time and make you regret that he's not in this band. It is absolutely amazing. And the greatest thing about it is the entire time, Hughes and Pace are just right there with him, pushing him and supporting him and inspiring him and like not losing him and like just making this go on and on. Even when Richie's just going, wow, and just making noises and bending strings, and they're right there keeping it steady. And it's one of the greatest things ever. Going down Highway Star is just exhilaratingly fantastic. Then we get bonus tracks. We get another Mistreated. This Mistreated has a lazy jam in front of it. So we get a nice little lazy jam again. And this Mistreated is pretty awesome, pretty patient. Everything just takes a little bit longer to happen. I don't think it has the intensity. This one is from Austria. We're the one that's like on disc 1. That's from the last show, the Paris show. This one just seems like it's taken its time. Still fantastic. Blackmore still sounds amazing. Coverdale sounds a little reined in, but still passionate. Richie sounds a little reined in, but still really intense and passionate. It's a really, really neat Mistreated. It almost feels a little tighter and like rock showier, but it's still absolutely epic. But it's a nice different flavor than the one that's on disc one. And then we get another You Fool No One. And then this one does not have a drum solo, but it's got a lot of Richie. We break it down for Richie. He gets to go off. We get some nice Richie Glenn Hughes interplay that's absolutely fantastic with like Pace just keeping the beat. Yeah, really, really good. Then we kind of go into the mule at the end, even though the drum solo is not on here. But it's a pretty fantastic You Fool No One. And without the drum solo, it's still in like 40 seconds shorter. So this is a much better, longer, jammed out version with some excellent, excellent Blackmore. This is an amazing release. It's absolutely fantastic. Blackmore is ridiculous. The playing is ridiculous. Hughes, I'm a Hughes bass fan. He might be over the top. He might just be screaming for screaming's sake vocally a lot of the time. Definitely isn't. I don't think what Coverdale does in Mistreated, Hughes doesn't really have that moment vocally, other than the fact that he's willing to just go out there and scream stuff for a while. But he's fun, and his bass playing is fun. And I think Blackmore needed to appreciate him more because I think he brings out the best in Richie's playing. I love this release, and it sounds fantastic. Where would I rank this among all the others? I have it right there. You can see the list. I can't yet. Right there. I have it at number 5. Yeah, I mean, these are all just fantastic releases. California Jammin' is a fantastic release. These are just all amazing. All amazing. I love them all. But I really, really like this one. That might... Like, I just feel bad putting Made in Japan at 4 already. And maybe because it's recency bias and I just revisited this, I wanted to jump this one above it, but that's not right. I know that's not right. But the Highway Star on this, if you listen to nothing else, go listen to the Highway Star solo. It's insane. It's insane. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Do all those things that you're supposed to do. And let me know your thoughts on this. It's absolutely epic. Peace. Talk to you later.